Gay marriage has just been legalized throughout America. But more importantly, I got all my hair cut off.
Oh, you're gonna cut off a lot more than that. Your chest, your homophobic and transphobic family members. Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Miles. People are gonna think I'm doing something like really wrong. It's July 1st. Do you still feel gay? Should we check in with BuzzFeed? I feel so uncomfortable right now. What, I'm not allowed to sit in my car and yell at my camera? What's next? I can't get an abortion? Y'all know I date men, right? If this turns into a family vlogging channel, it's wild because when I was a teenager, I was making videos in my car. I was sleeping in my car. And none of that felt as uncomfortable as it does right now. Because my life was just in a complete state of chaos. That literally saying words to a camera inside this fishbowl did not feel wildly uncomfortable and unnatural. I was like, oh, I'm safe now. So today I thought I would go back to my roots. Okay, I'm gonna answer your questions. Let's do it. How do I handle someone breaking up with me because I came out as gender fluid? Is it bad that I kind of regret coming out? That makes so much sense that you would regret coming out. I had that. I mean, I came out with my sexuality and I got kicked out of the house. And then gender was a thing and I was like, shit, we can't do that again. Be vulnerable and honest about how we're feeling and how we want to move through the world. We just did that. And then I ended up alone. And I just rebuilt my entire life. Why would I jeopardize that? You know? But that's not the answer, obviously. And that's not fulfilling, obviously. And that's also not love. Obviously. The most important thing, and this sounds like so cliche, but like dead ass, if you get this lesson now, as young as you are, in age and also in identity, like you're in the adolescence of like your identity, the sooner you get this message, the better your life is gonna be. Because I was given test after test after test for this one lesson. As long as you love yourself, that is the most important thing. That is the ground floor. Because you will always have people. You're gonna live, laugh, love your whole life long. If you do not on the ground floor love yourself, you're gonna have so many experiences that are not meant for you. Because you're gonna meet people that are gonna like someone that you don't like. Because you're not being yourself. You see what I'm saying? Dealing with breakups are hard, and you're gonna have to deal with this, but the positive is you're moving towards something that you never were able to before, which is getting your life. So, congratulations. What is the most transphobic thing you own? My rings. If I'm ever leaving my house, I always have these on my middle finger. This is my family crest. I'm Irish, obviously. This is a 1960s Boy Scout ring. So you got the societal view of masculinity and my family tree. Both of these will always be a part of me, but also both things will always have nothing to do with me. Kinda symbolic. I'm all about symbols, by the way. Like, I will literally treat my life like it's a book being discussed in an AP Lit class. I will tie so many moments and memories to things that like I don't think anyone else in my life really picks up on. Like the shirt that he wore when he said that, and then when he wears it again, what he says to me. Or like she said this, and then the light turned green. Like I think this is a mental illness. Do I look like so buff right now? No. Sometimes I can't discern between what people want from me and what I want for myself. I will see this a lot of times with trans guys. They'll have done like the super hyper masculine thing when they first came out because they felt like that's kind of what they needed to do. And then once they get more comfortable with their identity and who they are, you see them start to swing way more femme. They're still a guy, but gender identity and gender expression are two different things. Guys are feminine all the time. Trans guys are no different. I think a lot of our truth can be found in our early childhood before the world told us no, or called what we were by different names. Before we had prompting from outside sources like family or societal pressures. When we were fully unmolded and unashamed to be ourselves, we gravitated towards certain toys, movies, colors, friends, all the things that just reflected us. This sounds so cheesy, sorry. So I'll see these guys who are like super femme now, and it's like, yeah, when they were growing up, they loved princesses. They didn't have the experience of shying away from things that we would deem as girly when they were young, which also adds to their story of maybe how finding out their trans identity was a bit harder. And I think during times where you're unsure what your truth is, you can look back on who you were when you were really little. Should I do the video back here? It's like, you're my mom's taking me to school, or dad's, or parental figures. I don't know your life. How do I deal with people at my school forgetting my pronouns? So I don't know your life. I don't know your story or like what's going on. I have no idea who you are. Hello. I think something that people miss is when I was first coming out, like the first things I did was a social transition, which meant telling people what the was up. And I think some people forget or just flat out will say, no, I'm gonna disrespect you because you don't look like a he, him. But it's not about how we look. It's about how you need to address us. That's why I gotta go around telling people. If I was already looking he, him, there would be no problem. There would be no conversation. When I was first socially transitioning, not only did I not look he, him, because I hadn't done anything to do that, but I actually initially went completely polar opposite to where I ended up. When I came out on the internet, it was 2017, but I started socially transitioning, like telling people in my life and like doing the damn thing in 2016. I was very punk about it. The sides of my head were shaved down. I had like a faux hawk situation. And I don't think you know this, because this was not like a public internet thing. This was like a Miles living his life and trying to figure it out type thing. I would wear lacy bras with low cut tops with an STP, which is a stand 2P packer, and I would use urinals in the men's restroom in public. I was the king who was like capitalizing the end in gender, you know? And I was pissed. Like I was like full angry that anyone at any point in my life who had told me they loved me never let me be me. So I just went like real crazy. I was like, what you think about me, what you think about gender. I'm just going to do whatever I want. And for the first time in my life, having a space free of biases, where like, if you don't with me, I don't with you. I literally don't care. I'm gonna do whatever I want in the name of like gender affirmation, and I'm gonna live my life. I'm not gonna be ashamed of it. For the first time in my life, having the space to really just be and not like check in with everyone that loves me and be like, is this okay? I found I'm just really binary. I was able to really figure out my gender, and like I was just like, oh yeah, I'm a guy. And yeah, so from that, I really found me. And so when I was in the stage of like really trying to figure out pronouns, communicating that with everyone in my life, but also I didn't the way that you would assume these words would look, I just had conversations with people. A lot of times someone will mess up your pronouns and you just get in this deer in the headlights moment. Your stomach drops and it's like, okay, I don't know what to say. Or it's not the time or the place to say anything because you're around other people and it's just gonna be embarrassing. I would have convos with people one-on-one. I just wanna remind you, it's he, him. And a lot of times people are like, oh yeah, I'm so sorry. And you're like, yeah, just so you know. And then the people in my life who totally didn't mess up pronouns and always addressed me correctly, like I would have conversations with them and be like, hey, this person said this at this party and it made me feel really weird. If you ever hear anything, can you correct people for me? Because it's just a lot. And so I had people on my team who would stand up for me in social situations, whether I was there or not, just making sure everyone was on the same page. So I guess my answer is communication and getting people on your team to fight for you, because a lot of times it's hard for you to fight for yourself. Did you struggle with toxic masculinity when you first came out? I have been wanting to talk about this. So toxic masculinity, like by definition, is this like hyper performance of masculinity, fitting this cultural idea of like what a man is. So I asked you, what has the potential to be the most toxically masculine than a trans mask experience, where you are constantly demanded by society to prove your manliness? And if you're trans masculine, I think you gotta think about who are these masculine people around you when you were growing up. Like who are those pillars in your subconscious of what being masculine is? Because like I'm guessing it's probably your dad or your brother, your uncle. Like there was guys maybe around you growing up, and you gotta ask yourself, were those the best people? Because mine wasn't. So I'm gonna be really dead ass with you right now. So I had a big plot twist in 2019. So I started socially transitioning in 2016, right? So by the time it was 2019, we've been doing this dance for a while. You know? So I was in the middle of having an argument with someone I was dating at the time, and I was so upset over like, I mean, who knows the fact that like I can't even tell you what the fight was about. So we were arguing and I said something and then I just stopped and go, oh my God, I sound just like my dad right now. Like someone I hadn't seen in 4 years at that point. And it's not like, oh, after I realized that, I'm cured. The demons of the hyper-masculine men in my life have been purged. Like, no. It took me recognizing that over and over and over and over and like choosing to do or say something different. I think one of the things that's really hard about transitioning, no matter what age you are, no matter how you're transitioning or what your identity looks like, something that people don't talk about a lot is navigating change. So the way that you solve conflict now may be different than the way that you grew up solving conflict. Before, you may have been able to like cry to somebody and be able to release in that way and talk about it immediately. But maybe now you're on testosterone and you're not able to cry. But you know what's been replaced with? Getting frustrated really easily. So maybe you can't have this conversation right now and you need to walk away and then circle back and talk to this person once you've cooled down. And that takes like constant work and self-reflection and understanding. So I guess in short, my thoughts on the subject is when you're transitioning, think of the men that you grew up around. 9 times out of 10, they weren't the coolest. Don't fall into the same trap that they did. You may start acting like them and you don't even know it. Because you know what? People will let you. They'll let you act like that because this world lets men act a certain way. What do you do if you're basically poor and you can't get the desired masculine look that you want? Okay, so I know there's a lot of well-meaning people on the internet who will be like, you don't need to be masculine to be valid. Which is true. But I was always the kid who was like, okay, I don't need to be valid, but I'm not being masculine for validity. I'm being masculine so I love myself. I'm being masculine because that is me. And I remember what it's like to be like, okay, I've got jeans and I've got a blue shirt, but the blue shirt is a woman's cut and the jeans are high-waisted. I feel so like, weird. What do I do? Because I can't exactly go to mom and dad and be like, buy me a whole new wardrobe. Also, I need to look like a boy. How I navigated that was a sign from God. I was walking down the street and I found a gift card to Top Man, which is the male section of Topshop, and I shit you not, the card said Top Man. It had $80 on it. When I tell you I did so many lipas in that Top Man, trying to Tetris these price tags to get the most amount of male affirmed clothing for $80, and I did. I got so many clothes that were just like, I mean, so affirming for me because I was able to go shopping alone and buy things for myself. Like, that just sounds so elementary, but that's kind of like what the clunkiness of a trans and queer experience is. Like, we weren't really able to experience the natural progression and timeline of things that a lot of our straight cis counterparts got to. I mean, that's a whole thing that's been studied. It's called queer time theory. So to answer your question, I would start with clothes. And how you get the clothes. If you can't, you know, find a gift card for $80 on the ground, thrift shops. You can also trade clothing with friends. Like, things that you don't like and don't affirm you may totally affirm somebody else. How did you get comfortable having long hair as FTM? I'm having such a hard time with it. Okay, so along with being FTM, I also have the experience of thinking I was a lesbian for most of my life. So I don't know if anyone else can relate to this, but for me, having short hair, like very short hair, feels more feminine to me. Like, that just feels butch. Those are all the words that I have to say to your face today.
Did you like it? Did you like the video?
Comment down below answering one of the questions that I've answered today in this video. And we can all communicate together. Like a happy family. Like a happy family. Like a happy family. Okay, I love you guys so much. I'll talk to you later. Bye.